All right. Have you got me, Bails? You
Yeah, I do, Tim. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat ahead of round 3, and a very happy Good Friday to you all. Obviously, I'm your host, Bails, and you find me at BailsDT on Twitter. And joining me, as you heard him just at the very start, my co-host, Tim, and you find him at Tim Guest AE. Tim, mate, how are you on Good Friday?
Good, mate. I'm good. Did I mess up your start, did I?
No, it's all good, mate. All good to get started, mate. Have you done much on Good Friday, mate, or got any plans over the Easter weekend?
I had a sleep in this morning. It was wonderful. I haven't had a sleep in weeks. So, yeah, that was perfect. A perfect way to start the day. And I've got my kids for a couple of days over the Easter break, so I'm really looking forward to that and spoiling them on Easter morning with eggs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, sounds good, mate. Now I've got dinner sister's place tonight. Watch the Crows game. Hopefully, see them actually get a win instead of going 0-3. So that's going to be probably a bit stressful. But looking forward to that. And then tomorrow, I got a couple of the lads, Tom and Callum from Game Day Squad, heading down to and going to Port game with Hef as well. So that should be some good fun. So it wouldn't be too bad to see Melbourne win that one as a Crows fan. Sorry to all the Port fans out there, but. We do
pretty relevant games today as well, mate.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say. So we'll get stuck into everything. So obviously we've got two huge, sort of pretty big games in terms of fantasy and whatever. Is that we've got obviously North Melbourne and Carlton, which I will be doing a watch along for over on YouTube. So if you guys aren't doing anything on Good Friday and you wanted to come listen to me talk some shit, then just watch the games together and chat fantasy, then make sure you head over to Fantasy Fanatics on YouTube from pretty much almost straight after this, about 5 minutes before the game starts. And we'll be live throughout that. But there's so many players, obviously, in that game, plenty of North players. Then we've also got Freo and Adelaide, which got a few relevant players as well. So in terms of the round upcoming, Tim, obviously there's a few of the mid-price guys that are pretty popular in terms of ins, which is obviously Massimo D'Ambrosio and Tom Powell, and then we've got a heap of other guys. So just firstly, what are your thoughts on those two guys as options for coaches to bring in this week?
Yeah, look, I think this is the week to bring them in. I mean, it's the kind of, it's probably the last round of fix-up trades, and it's normally the round where we're moving on those mid-prices. We've probably moved already on the rookies that we need to get in. So, yeah, round for fix-up trades. I think both Massimo and Powell are a good move. I actually brought in Mass last week, and I'm bringing in Powell this week. So, look, I think it's a pretty common trade, especially with Sexton on the buy, people moving to him, or people's kind of doing some other fix-up stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the Sexton to Power trade will be the most common trade this weekend for very good reason. I haven't heard too many people say, but I've got a feeling there was a chance that Power could be pretty close, if not a top 6 forward, based on what he did last weekend. It's only 2 weeks of data, but with the lack of forward options, I think that as I said on Hat Chat Twitter space, I actually had Massimo as my number 1 target, then Power number 2, but I've actually probably switched that around. I think Power's the number 1. I just think he'll be close to those top 6 forwards. So, yeah, I think he's a priority bring in, and I think he'll go pretty well today. And obviously, Massimo's still a great option as well, but probably the role isn't quite as good as the Tom Powell, but I still think he'll score well enough. Hawthorn like to chip the ball around, so I like bringing him in. Obviously, we've got Harvey Thomas next week. I probably wouldn't be advising anyone to bring him in just yet. I'd just maybe grab another rookie instead of him. Any other options that are catching your eye, Tim, this week? Obviously, those are the 2 main guys. But is there anyone else, like, for example, you've already got a Massimo, so Power, who are you looking at as your second in, and who should other coaches be looking at, do you reckon, as well?
Well, yeah, for me, I've got Duke Nukem, right, and I haven't been happy with his performance over the last couple of weeks, and I'm not really sure that anything's going to change there too soon. I mean, there was even some comments from Sam Mitchell this week about, his poor form and that, they kind of trust him to come out of it, but, how much longer do you want to give him? Once again, it's that kind of round for fix-up trades. For me, I mean, I wasn't real happy about this move. It's not normally a move I would like to make, a Duke Nukem to a Matt Crouch, but and I'm a little bit nervous, especially with all the kind of talk about what's happening in that Adelaide midfield. But at the same time, Matthew Nicks came out during the week and talked about how Matt Crouch is in career best form, and I think also with Berry going out as well.
Yep.
that it probably, kind of shores up his role a little bit more. So, and I mean, look, Duke Newcomb's going one way in price, and Matt Crouch is going the other. It is certainly a little bit luxury, but I kind of feel it's that best move for me to make. And then for me, I didn't get a great start. What was it, 38,000 or something along those lines. So I'm trying to be really intelligent about the trades I make, and I'm trying to think about other teams and where weaknesses are. I think a big weakness is in the defensive line with the Zach Reed, and I think, but even probably bigger is, I think a lot of people might even be running 2 rookies on field in the forward line. So, next week with the Flanders becoming available, even a Took Miller coming off his bye, I think we've got to be ready to pounce, and you've got to be thinking about your structure and getting things ready for next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard because I've looked at a few other options, but I've been pretty set on the muscle and power moves. So, but yeah, I like Crouch. I still don't mind that play. Like, you're getting rid of John Newcomb, who hasn't shown anything. He's got a huge break even, and the way I look at it is you can always bring Newcomb back in if he starts going well, and I guess then you can look at it and go, okay, well, I was right in the preseason. It just didn't start off well, whereas Matt Crouch is going up in cash and is looking really, really good. So, I think it's a good trade, Tim. So, you have the Bails approval.
Thanks, mate. And look, I think it's important as well, that structure in the midfield, obviously, with the rooks. I mean, it looks like, certainly 3 to 4 rooks on field is probably the way to play it. And then there's some other interesting things that have played out, I think, during this best 18. Like, I think what I probably didn't allow for is that this best 18 would actually limit how far ahead teams can get. So, there was kind of, do you get what I mean? Like, I kind of felt like I had a bad, I didn't really have a great team to start, but I really didn't lose much ground last week in a best 18 week. Even though I've gone more of a value play and I don't have those ceiling players. So, that's kind of thrown a bit of I didn't quite expect that, and maybe that'll end up working out in my benefit in a way that I didn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even just looking at it in terms of like where sort of number 1 is ranked and like sort of top 100 is that, like, I feel like both of us we haven't even had a terrible start, but like looking at mine, I'm what is it? I'm like a little bit out of whack now, but I was like 300 odd points off of first and like a couple hundred points off of top 100. I'm like, that's from obviously not having a few of those buy players, and it's going to be very interesting this week because a lot of the teams in the top 10,000 have had a Tom Green captain or just had Tom Green their side. They had a Whitfield, they had a Flanders, they had a Toot Miller, they had some of those rookies on field. So it's going to be interesting to see how many points those other coaches that didn't start many of those players catch up. I think, Jaden put up a stat, I think it was early in the week, said something like, I think over half of the top 10,000 had a 4 or more of those early buy players on.
I tried. I heard that, and then I went to check it, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know that.
I think they said on the pod as well. I'm pretty sure that's what they were saying. They were saying that stat.
Yeah, but I just think we want to be careful, right? Like, it may have been a mistake, because I saw a stat about, I think, half the teams having Tom Green in the top 10,000. So I don't know whether the stat got slightly skewed, right? But even still, half the teams in the top 10,000 having Tom Green, they're not going to have, they're, probably M1 this week. It's an opportunity for those other teams to catch. And like you said, I think we're all very closely bunched at the moment. I mean, I keep a record of my hat chase, so to speak, and I'm only 265 points off a hat chase. I mean, that's easy to traverse in a season. And obviously, I just don't want to keep going too far backwards. But we'll see how that goes this week. And I think it'll be a good week this week in terms of, like you said, I think a lot of those top teams are going to have a number of those players, and they're not going to have them up the sleeve this week.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, you were right. It was actually about Tom Green. I've just found the tweet from Jaden there. Yeah, Tom Green's ownership in the top 100 is 87%. Top 1,000 is 83.7%, and top 10,000 is 76.3%. So it's obviously big ownership in top 10,000, yes. And I'm sure that a lot of those coaches will have got a Flanders and a Whitfield, but we don't exactly know the ownership of that. So you were correct on that one, Tim, there as well. Just before we get into, obviously, people's questions, just want to, if you are tuning in live on Twitter or YouTube, make sure you leave your questions in the live chat or the comment section on the Twitter space, and we'll get to as many of those as we can. And also, just a shout out to everyone as well. Obviously, me and Tim have been quite open and stuff about sort of the numbers and guide and support you guys have shown. Is that our round one review was our number one episode all time, and then you guys have smashed it on our round two review, and that's now surpassed as our number one most listened to episode. So thank you everyone for your support. Me and Tim very much appreciate, and shout out to all you legends out there as well that tune in live and then even listen back to it on the replay as well. But Tim, captains, it's a bit of an interesting it's been a very interesting start to the season in terms of captains and whatever. Like even last week only had a top score of 131 for the rounds. I think there was only a number of players that went over 120 points. So yeah, there was only the only 7 players that went over 120, and then obviously Dawson was the only one over 130. So it's been very diverse. What are you looking at doing with your VC and your captain choice this week?
Yes, so look, my initial thoughts, and keep in mind I don't have a lot of those top price players, right? So my initial thoughts was a Harry Sheasel into Isaac Heaney. But I'm kind of a little bit concerned. Like Carlton, they're pretty restrictive for halfbacks. So, I'm a bit concerned that I might get trapped in a like a bit of a low score, like a 105, or because early on in the season I would take something like that. I probably wouldn't go for a ceiling, especially considering I don't have a Dawson, a Bond, or those kind of stuff. But so I actually thought what I might do is have a bit of a throw at the stumps with Nick Martin up against St Kilda. I mean, they give it up to those kind of attacking halfbacks, right? So he could, he might pop off a big score.
Don't mind it.
And yeah, right. Like, so it's a bit of a throw at the stumps, knowing that I've got Isaac Heaney as a backup up against Richmond, which I'm kind of pretty confident with as a captain option.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've just seen a tweet that Calvin put up earlier as well. He said his VC line this week will be pretty low. He would take any 100 that you get unless you've got an English or a Goulden coming. Then only take 115 plus. So yeah, and I'll probably agree with that as well. It's quite because there's not, I guess, many big scores. If you get 100, I'm 110, I think, still. I think I'd probably want to take a 110. I'm going at the moment. I've got Jordan Dawson today. Be going him VC into a Bont on the Sunday. So I'm probably looking, for a 110 just because I'm pretty happy with Bont as a captain. I'm a bit nervous about the Hayden Young tagging Dawson talk, but I don't think it'd be a hard tag. So I think I'm still fine to go with Dawson anyway. And I think he'll still put up a solid score regardless. So, that's what I'm currently looking at as well. I've thought about Sheasel, but I don't know about you, Tim. I've just had a bit of a funny feeling that Carlton could put some sort of attention into him. Like maybe they put if it's a Matt Kennedy.
Very restrictive last year, right? Very restrictive.
I could even see them sitting like a Matt Kennedy or someone in the forward line just sitting on him for a bit. I'm hoping not, because I'm an owner and I hope that he goes big, but I just have a feeling that could potentially happen. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
well, like I said, I'm just concerned about the matchup. And look, shout out to Jeffra as well. I mean, I didn't come up with that on my own as well. He flagged Nick Martin, I think, on the Plus Six podcast, and that kind of is what put me onto it. So, credit where credit's due there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind the Nick Martin play as well. I did think you out for 2 seconds, but I think I'll probably stick with Dawson. But it'll be very, very interesting. So, let's get to a heap of questions. Unless, Tim, if there was anything else you wanted to just touch on before we get into any questions or anything.
Not that I can think of.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Actually,
I'm sure they'll come up in the questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, actually, one more thing I'll probably just say as well. Drew Jones obviously tweeted out before saying that apparently the Bulldogs have confirmed that Jack McRae will be in the starting 22 against West Coast. And Drew asked Bevo about the role. And he said that he'll play as a midfield despite likely starting outside the centre bouncers. So he looks like he'll be playing as that fourth midfielder. I wouldn't advise bringing Jack McRae in first week. You'd obviously want to watch him for a little bit first. But yeah. And then also Kane McAuliffe came into the squad for Richmond as well early. So I think Dusty's out injured. So if anyone did have Dusty out there, that's a trade that you'll have to make. But I wouldn't be looking at Kane McAuliffe yet. Watch a week and then you can see how he goes. Bit the same with like a Caleb Mitchell who's debuting for Sydney, and Angus Hasty who is debuting for St Kilda, but he's probably going to be the sub, I'd imagine. So, yeah, beautiful. Let's get into Sorry, Tim.
Just on that, because I know I have noticed there's a lot of questions around bring in some of these defender rooks. And, I mean, obviously it might be a structure thing that you kind of trying to do something there with. But I think we should wait a week. There's a few defender rooks that have been named this week. And if we wait a week, we'll, you're not going to lose too much of the cash, Jim, and you'll get a good look at, okay, who's going to stick around, who might have some job security and who's actually got some scoring potential.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And if you got a read, I like keeping him. You can if you've got a Williams and a Blake Howes, you can actually loop between those two for the next probably month until Reed comes back. I had a look at the fixtures, and Blake Howes has got a few Thursday night and Friday night games coming up, and Reed normally plays after. Or Williams has got an early game. You can sort of loop between that. So I like that play as well at your D6 spot. Yeah, beautiful. Let's get into some of these questions. So the first question comes from Jim. He said, is it worth trading Fisher if it means I can get Heaney? And what is more of a priority, Caulfield to Massimo or Sexton to Powell? So I think answering your first question, Jim, Tim, I don't know about you, but I'm not even looking at trading Fisher, to be honest. There's no forward premiums, and I still think Fisher's going to be pretty close enough to the top six. I think people are probably stressing a bit too much about him. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I mean, here's how I'd kind of look at it. Out of those players, you've got both Fisher, who's, playing this week and still got a break even below his average, and next week. Sexton's not playing this week, but he's, break even is below his average, and then you've got Caulfield, who's injured, right? So I think it's pretty easy out of those three which way to go.
Yeah, exactly. And just quickly as well, what are your thoughts on bringing in a Heaney? He's obviously got two great matchups, then he's got his bye. Is this a team dependent question? If you don't have too many bye players, you're happy to jump on, or are you probably thinking more because that bye is so close that you'd just be looking at him post his bye?
Yeah, I think not only are you looking at the bye being close, but you're also looking at Luke Parker and Taylor Adams coming back being close. So now, look, there's every chance that nothing changes when those guys come back, and Heaney is still the number one, banana, as we have as become known in there. But look, it seems pretty luxury to me, and I imagine that coaches have got other issues out there that they probably could work on.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so more priority trade. So you got.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say no, but like I said, I think it's a matter of priorities compared to everything else.
Yeah, agreed. And then Jim's part here is saying more of a priority, Caulfield to Massimo or Sexton to Powell. I think this pretty much comes down to if Caulfield's on your field or not. I think if Caulfield's on your field, you do the Massimo trade. If Caulfield's on your bench, I think if you could just wait for that rookie on your bench to come and just go Sexton to Powell and get that points upgrade. Would you agree?
Yeah, actually I would.
Yep.
And that probably applies to the question that got asked before as well, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Detached Edits has said VC Sheasel or Gawn going into Captain Bont. So what are your thoughts on, obviously you talk about Sheasel, what about Gawn against Port Adelaide as a VC?
Yeah, look, I don't have Gawn, so I haven't really looked into him this week, but I think on the Ball Boys before, was it Mitch had dug up? Hang on, where did I hear it? No, it was Calvin had dug up some stats, I think, on Gawn, because who's he up against this week?
Port Adelaide.
And the ruckman, Soldo, right?
Soldo, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he'd gone back and dug up some stats of the one time that Soldo and Gawn had gone head-to-head, and Gawn did a 130, 140. I think it was almost a 137, 138 or something like that. So I think he would be probably a good option, but like I said, I haven't looked into it too much.
Yeah. I think I've just got here, Mitch has got Gawn down at number 7. So, you could consider. The other thing that's a bit nervous with Gawn as well is that Port Adelaide were actually the team that first started that whole roughing up Gawn around the ground and everything. So if Port if they employ that strategy again, it could be a tough night for Big Max. But let's hope that doesn't happen and he goes and has a good game. Tom Young, Dempsey, Sharp or Gallagher? Who are you going for? I think Gallagher's probably third on this, so it's probably between Dempsey and Sharp for me.
Yeah, I would say Sharp. Sharp is a player you could probably play on field. Dempsey, I know I have him on field, but it's not, it's kind of picking the best of a bad bunch out of him and Reed and Wilson, right? Whereas, I know people are a bit off him this week with the matchup that he's got, but I think long term he's a rookie that we could be playing on field.
Yeah, I like the Sharp move. Just I know Chapman is back next week, and I think a few Free fans have said he could play as a wingman, so that could impact a Sharp in terms of if he has a poor game, he could be the sub out of the team. But I think Sharp's good for the time being, so I'd be going.
He could also potentially impact Clark as well if he plays defensively.
Yeah, and that's the one I was flagging on the Hat Chat, Twitter space. I think that Clark, I'd be a little bit more hesitant to bring him in now than what I would have been beforehand. But one to watch, that's for sure. Robert Cochran, Fish to Powell, and then Sexy to Dempsey. So you're ticking off though. Well, again, I'm not a fan of trading Fisher. I know you're getting Powell, but I think I'd rather do Powell to Sexton to Powell and do another trade. What are your thoughts on those two trades there?
Yeah, I like your idea better. So go back and say them again. It was Dempsey.
So yeah, he's going Sexton to Dempsey, and then he's going Fisher to Powell. But I'm not a fan of trading Fisher.
Yeah, look, we definitely go Fisher. We definitely go Sexton to Powell, right?
Yeah.
And I do think you want to. Dempsey's one of those rookies that you probably want to bring in. I think he's one of probably the lower priority ones, but I wonder who else he's got floating around there as well.
If you had if you could do like Lazaro to Dempsey or something and do Sexton to Powell, I'd do that. But even still, I'd even rather go Lazaro down to a Manor or someone like that, and then do Sexton to Powell. Personally,
Lazaro named on field this week.
I think he is, but I'm probably just saying that if he wants if he needs to do the Sexton to Powell, I'd probably prefer to do something else, or even if you've got a Salem, even going him down to a Muswell, if you didn't have him or a Windhager or something, I'd rather find cash elsewhere.
Yeah.
I just think.
Look, I think Salem is definitely one that people should be looking to get off. I mean, we brought him in. We knew he had that early buy, but we did it because we thought he would considerably outperform his price with that midfield role, and he hasn't. And now he's been shifted back into defence. So
yeah.
I know he got a big score last week, and he's got a pretty, tasty kind of, easy to achieve break even. I think it's in the 60s, mid high 60s or something like that.
69. I don't think it's too sort of. People said it's a bit of a low break even, but I've seen Salem drop a number of 70s, and
exactly right.
Yeah, and if he drops a 70 or a 65, that's his cash gen done. He's going to break even a 90.
Yeah, but people are thinking he's more of a 90-100 guy, right, because of his score last week. So that's just not reflective. So. What's his average? His average is 96, so that's what people are thinking, right? So, and this is an opportunity to get ahead of the game, because you might find a lot of teams might find this week he throws up a bit of a dud score and are looking to get off next week. You'll want to trade ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I think the one thing to probably watch is that with Melbourne sort of obviously May is out this week, but if Petty was to play back and if Marty Hore isn't named the sub, which I don't expect him to be named the sub, there's a few extra defenders in this team. I think Roy Wayne will be the sub for Melbourne. So with McVee, Lever, Howes, Tom McDonald, Trent Rivers, then you've got Petty and Hore on the bench. There is a world where Salem could go back into the midfield again, but then again, if Petty plays up forward, I think Melbourne have wanted to play him forward, then there is a chance that he does play in defence. But the fact that we don't know what his role is also reason to trade him out with some tough matchups, I think, as well.
Well spotted, mate. I didn't think of
that. Ryan Flavel, surely being Easter, we need to give Jesus the VC today.
Jesus.
No, mate, he's a good option, and definitely if I didn't have Dawson, it probably would be on probably a Sheasel, but tough matchup, I think, and maybe just gets the 100 there, but we'll have to see how he goes. Simon Sachs, hey guys, thanks for the content as always. Wondering what you think Yo can average for the season, if it's worth going him over Massimo this week, if I can still get Sexton to Powell. So, Tim, what are your thoughts on going at Elliot Yo over a Massimo? I'll probably go Yo over Massimo if you don't have him.
Yeah, I kind of had him pegged as around about a 95 guy, but it wasn't, which, potentially could have him be top 6, but I don't know. I didn't really have him flagged as a top 6 because I just expected that he would get injured and, wouldn't, be able to finish out the season. So, for me, it's just been more of a short-term cash grab, but yeah, I think 90-95 is very achievable for him should he stay fit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you don't have Yo and Massimo, are you going Yo over Massimo?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah.
I mean, you've got a midfield role compared to, we're not really sure what Mass's role is. It's kind of like half-back wing kind of thing.
He's been really like that. Yeah, like that. He's been playing a lot more wing from what I've seen in the Hawthorn games, and he's been pushing right up the ground in the forward 50, but also right the way back. So he's almost like a guy that's just almost got the license. A bit like Errol. He actually his role reminds me a tiny bit of Errol Goulden, just without the CBAs, just sort of roaming around everywhere, getting involved with everything, and his tackling pressure as well has been pretty good as well. Been able to lay a few tackles, so. It'd be interesting to see how he goes, especially against Geelong on Easter Monday as well. So, Moon Boy's got these trades: Caulfield and Wines out to Powell and Massimo. Yep, tick for me. Yep, beautiful. Corey Blackledge, thoughts on Powder Sexton and LDU to Jack Steele, as I don't have any bullets in my team as of yet, and want to wait a week on McAuliffe, Mitchell, Hasty, and all those other rookies that have been named. So with no other issues.
Flag on Jack Steele. Wasn't he sick this week?
He missed training, I think it was yesterday or the day before from illness. So that is one.
Essendon.
What are your thoughts on trading an LDU out? That's probably the...
Yeah, look, how's he... He's kind of gone... I know his first round was under... Yeah. So, I think we tend to find that these kind of players can be a little bit dangerous. I mean, 98, you can get stuck holding on to these players, but we really got these players thinking that they've in the past kind of averaged 90, 95 and can kind of break into the 105 plus mark. But, if you get stuck holding them, they're taking up a spot, they're not really generating cash. They can be a bit dangerous. So, look, it is a little on the luxury side, but, depending on how your team's looking, I don't mind. I wouldn't say no.
Yeah. Taser says Massimo or Windhager. I'm in the Massimo camp, and you can wait a week on Windhager. Are you agreeing with that?
I would say structure dependent.
Structure dependent. Well, what are your thoughts on a Windhager?
I like it. Did you? Man, he looked great last week, eh?
Yeah, he did. He looked really good, and definitely going to be a guy that we got to keep an eye on. I look at the break even as well. That I think Windhager's got the better role. But I think Windhager's break-even, if I'm just get up here, I think it's in the 50s, whereas I know that Massimo's break-even is 19. So, yeah, 58 break-even for Windhager. So I feel like you could wait a week, and if Windhager put up a good score, you can jump on him, whereas Massimo, this is probably the last week to really look at him.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, cool. James English, so shout out to Shuckers, mate, who's listening at the moment. Says, Bells, what's LDU do today? Well,
what the hell are you asking us? You're the bloody
I reckon he probably, based on what he's done the first week, he probably goes about 95.
Yeah, sorry, what was the question? I was too busy laughing at my own jokes.
Shuckers said, he's like, what does LDU do today against Carlton? I don't think he get tagged. I don't think there's no Ed Kerno there anymore, so he could go okay, but
it might. And look, it might be a game that suits him, a bit more contested. Maybe he goes pretty well.
Yep. Yeah, I think he could go all right. Yeah, agreed. Nozza says, hey, lads, is Sharp a must even if it means getting Massimo over Powell? So would you be it probably depends on who your other trade is if you get Tom Powell, I think, Nozza. But are you happy, Tim, to jump on Jeremy Sharp if it means getting Massimo over Powell? Or are you thinking Powell's the more one that you want?
I don't mind that. No, I don't mind that. I think if I was going to rate those in order of who you would be getting, that's Sharp, Massimo. Maybe I do like Powell's role over Massimo. I'd probably go Powell second over Massimo. So yeah, that's what makes this so hard. I think you could do it. I think obviously your preference would be to get on Powell, but if you can't because to get Sharp in, you just don't have the cash. I think you've got a preference Sharp. I think once again he's one of those rookies that, he's still got a break even of a negative break even. I mean, he's getting up there in price, 373, but I think the kind of thing that we've worked out is probably the right structure to be running right now is 4 rookies. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are trying to move. I mean, people are trying to get to Massimo, but I think in a lot of cases, people are trying to free up a spot in the midfield to bring more rookies on.
Yeah. Well, would you rather 3 or 4 mid rookies? Where are you sitting in sort of that debate?
So I'm I feel like I've gone really different to how I normally play it this year. And I've actually got 7 defenders at the moment. Technically, if I have my Lockie Whitfield on field, I've got bloody Massimo sitting at, Zach Williams that's sitting at D7. But, that's because I'm trying to build that cash. And I've still got a Riley Bonner sitting at D5. Look, I would probably prefer to have a Sharp on field over a Bonner, but it's more about structure for me and kind of setting myself up for next week for a move rather than look, with 7 defenders this week, I can get away with Lockie Whitfield on the bye. But next week, I'm hoping there's going to be, a defender rook that stands out after those debutants this week. And, I'll be able to trade out like a Christian Salem and go to a big dog like a Flanders or a Took or maybe even a Tom Green. Not that I think I'd really like to pay up for him, but, they're the kind of options that I'll have next week. So look, I think this is something that's got to come into your decision making as well. It's easy to look at a player and, particularly with a conversation like this, a Sharp and a Massimo and a Power, it's easy to rank them and it's easy to say, well, this is the one that you should be getting in priority over the others. But I think structure really depends because we've only had 2 rounds of the season. We've got another 22 rounds to go. You've got to think about cash gen. You've got to think about your long-term structure.
Yeah. Exactly. And I get, as you said, with the 7 defenders for you, it keeps your options wide open and you've got that flexibility, which is good. I think I'm still 3 rookies in the mids. I do like having one on the bench to continue making that cash and you can downgrade them at a point and upgrade elsewhere. But if it does work, I don't mind the 4 rookies either because they are the best rookies for scoring at the moment. Moving through some more questions here. So Ben Hawkey said, hey, boys, bit stuck on my second trade. Currently got Wines to power using DPP, but stuck with what to do with Sexton. Was thinking Sexton to a Gallagher, Thomas, Burgess, or a Windy or Farrell, as I got 665K to spend with Sexton out. So I'm assuming, Ben, that you've already got a D'Ambrosio there, because if you don't, that he would be my pick. But what are your thoughts with that, Tim? So I guess if he's going Sexton down. I was going to say Windhager. I'd rather Thomas next week. You can get him next week.
I'm not.
And few people are keen on Burgess and Gallagher. Like Burgess, don't get me wrong, I'm glad he had a good game last week for the Crows, but I still think he's not going to be a huge scorer. And then Gallagher,
none of the rookies really stand out. Like not as a long-term cash generation. Someone, even. What was the Giant that did 100 last week?
Harvey Thomas, yeah.
It was one out of the bag against the Eagles, right? Like, I'm not even convinced with him.
We can jump on next week for cash just because his break-even is -23, but I think we just wait till next week. I think that's just a trade that you can make. Again, a week's a long time in footy and fantasy, and what if he wasn't named next week because, he misses for some reason, I don't know.
I wonder, whether there is an opportunity to do something like a Zach Reed in the defensive lineup to a Massimo. If you had, I know he didn't mention him, right? But so maybe he's got him. But I don't know. That's a place where no one's moving. So if you've got a real luxury trade, not there's a lot of options to get on. You probably need cash to go up. But yeah, there's just an opportunity back there, I think.
Yeah. Brad has asked this question: Pink, Hasty, or Draper? I think if you're going one, it's Pink, but I wouldn't be going any, to be honest. I think if you're, especially that's I think we mentioned that before. If that's a Reed, I'd just be holding a Reed there, or even if it is a Caulfield, just hold them there for the time being, and you can make that trade next week if we get a rookie that pops their head up and looks like a good option. I do like this question here from Gadget Geeks: Massimo plus cash or Matt Crouch? Where are you going to from that one?
Look, I'm bringing in Matt Crouch this week, but I'm not convinced by the pick. I think he could just as well be a 90-95 player, which means, okay, there's a little bit of upside, but not really much. But I'm kind of, I think Massimo is the more important trading.
Yeah. Actually, well, one thing because we've been talking about like the sort of the defender rookies and whatever. If someone's got a Nick Caulfield and Zach Reed on the bench, or they've got 2 red dots, would that be where you might just grab a Pink because you need to grab some cover, or are you still thinking best 18, regardless of 2 red dots, you can fix up next week if you get an option and you're just looking at doing other moves?
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, there feels to me like there's an opportunity back there, but the options are limited. Like I think if you could get up to a mass, it'd be worth it. At the same time, it'd be nice to wait a week for those defender rooks.
Yeah, great.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think, what is it? Mini Monk says team dependent.
Team dependent, yeah, exactly. I think if you've got like a Howes on at D6 and you've got 2 red dots on your bench, I would probably just grab someone there just for some sort of cover. But yeah, if Blake Howes on your bench already, then that's fine. I wouldn't be looking at any other cover than that. Subi, do I hold on to Newcomb over Sexton, and can I get in Tom Powell for Sexton or get Matt Cratch for Newcomb? So we'll sort of split this up. Be a few questions in there. So, would you hold on to Newcomb over Sexton?
Well, he is playing this week, whereas Sexton's not. But then you got the break-even issue. Look, this is a really, really tough one, right? Because there's, we know that holding your kind of primos does work, but
it's what Sexton to
but then
Powell
Sexton's not playing
or Newcomb to Crouch.
But once again, the thing we don't know where Sexton's going to play next week. If he still continues playing in the defensive line, he's a solid hold.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried because I think Lukosius moved back last week, and I don't know if that was just a 1 week play against the Dogs or if that's something that I've always liked Lukosius bound defence personally anyway, so that could be a bit of a issue. Does Atkins come into the side? I don't know. I know Newcomb's got a huge break even, but I still think I'd still rather hold on to him and have Powell than hold Sexton, rely on a rookie score, and then have Matt Craig still go well, but I think I'd still rather have Newcomb and Powell in my team. I think.
Yeah, sure.
It is a tough one, though, as you say, because that high break even, if he drops another 60.
I have Duke Newcomb, and man, it's hard. Like, I want to get off. There's almost nothing that will make me hold him this week.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be interested to see what Subi's other trade is, because if there's another trade there that isn't, if it's just a defender, like rookie switch we've talked about, I'd rather just do the 2 trades you've mentioned there than do the other trade. But it'd be interesting. The Carlton Blues this week, mid-price or ceiling score. So he's looking at going Massimo and Powell or a premium and a rookie. Is Cash Gen still the only game? Is it still Massimo and Powell?
I think so.
Yeah, and I think they'll still give you points as well. So. Like a lot of you hear a lot of the content guys out there talking about you want cash gen and you also want points on the ground. If you get both, then that's great. I think you're going to get both to an extent with Powell and Massimo. So I'll be doing that one as well. What do we? Uncle Deja said VC or captain on Sarong this week. What are your thoughts on Sarong against the Crows at Optus?
Plays today, doesn't he?
Yeah. If you can VC him, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
I'd be happy to put the captaincy on him as well.
We don't know if Barnett's going to play, right? So that might be
Barnett. Apparently, Adam Simpson came out earlier and said that Jack Williams is coming in for Barnett this week.
So the problem might be that he might not have a loophole. That's maybe why he's pitching the idea of Sarong as the captain. So,
or he went Dacos last night potentially.
Yeah, true. Well, look, I mean, if you went Dacos last night, yeah, why wouldn't you roll?
Or he's going Sheasel as VC and then into Sarong, like
sure,
back to back maybe.
Sure.
I don't see Sarong getting tagged, so I think he'll go pretty well against the Crows, even though they're tougher matchup.
How's his form, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
I think once again, I think Jepper said that basically they were tagging him all preseason because he was just a beast and they couldn't stop him.
Yeah, Sarong's at a different level this year so far from what we've seen. So he's definitely a good captain option to be looking at. And if you can VC him, then that's even better, I think. And you can have a look at him and then another option. Jacob Rivers, shout out to Jacob, one of my uni mates there. Gents need help. Whitfield to Nasai Wangani Miller or Toot to Crouch, and the VC locked in on Shields. So I'm assuming Jacob's got a few of those buy players, so he's looking to probably offload one of them. What are you doing there? Whitfield to Gavin or Toot to Crouch?
Sorry, I'm just typing Gavin into the AFL Fantasy website just to have a look at his stats.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if Gavin would come up.
Yeah, mate, I know. It's another terrible joke. Maybe I need to do some work with Luke to improve.
Yeah, with Luke,
yeah. Look. Obviously, after a massive 122 last week, he's on a lot of coaches' radars. The thing that I would just flag for people is he's playing at Norwood this week, right? I mean, he is up against Richmond
next week.
Next week, which is a great matchup, but not the best of the venues for fantasy scoring, particularly for halfbacks as well. And then he's at Monaco. So, I've heard some content creators talk about how juicy his run is, but I don't think they're looking at the venues. They're looking more at the opposition. So, just a flag. I mean, I think he's going to be a great option long term, but I was kind of thinking about hopping on him maybe in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. I think that the thing that splits it for me, and the reason I would go Touk to Crouch, is because I think Whitfield will be a top 3 defender, whereas Touk's a good option to bring in, I think, next week. I'm just still unsure if he's a 105 guy or if he's a 110 guy, because if Rao's going to take this next step, if Anderson's going to get his piece, if Flanders is going to be this 100 or 95 forward, how many of these guys can average over 95 in a Damien Hardwick sort of system? So I'd probably just do that, and you bank the cash and get Crouch in, who will make a bit of cash, even though Gavin is a good option. So I think that's what splits it for me. And he's got the VC locked in on Sheezel, which I think a lot of people are doing today. So. DWH has asked about Jack Steele as a VC.
Once again,
I'm nervous with illness.
Yeah.
Would you still go? Could you still go there because the VC?
Or
would you prefer
sure.
to go? Or would you prefer to go and Nick Martin, who you're looking at going?
Let's have a look. So Essendon, not a bad or a great matchup for midfielders, but once again, it's a VC option. I mean, the truth is, I don't bloody know, but I would suggest maybe considering it's a VC, having a ping at someone that could maybe go for a bit of a ceiling score. And I'm not sure. While I think Jack Steele is a great kind of underpriced value premium for the year, I don't know that he's going to have massive ceiling scores this year with the the kind of St Kilda game style. So, maybe stick the VC on Nick Martin and see what happens. Yep. And if not, remember, it wasn't my idea; it was Jepper's.
Mate, that's all right. Costy, Green to Sarong or Crouch? I don't know about you, Tim. I'm personally not. If you've got Green and you don't have many of these buy players, I'd be holding Green.
Yeah, I'm not done. No way.
I just feel like it's going to be actually so expensive, and I don't know if he's really going to come down much in price.
The guy keeps putting the captain on himself.
Exactly.
You cannot tell me that is not going to influence his game.
Oh, no, 100%. It would. You can go out there in the back of your mind. Like, I know footy players are
and his teammates would know as well. His teammates would know as well. Yeah, I think a protest needs to be, lodged with the AFL regarding this. If he's got himself in his own team, he's going to be racking up. Yeah, I'm very jealous of Tom Green owners.
Yeah, I know.
Would not trade him.
Wouldn't you love to be Tom Green at the moment? So
yeah, Jesus.
Jeppa just commented on the Twitter space saying, "I've swapped the VC to Sheezy." #FOMO.
Yeah, all right. So, look, I think I might stick with Nick Martin. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Jeff, mate, if you do want to jump on for a chat, I know that you will be one of our special guests on Monday, and I think JD as well, who both actually kind of listening at the moment. I think we got both those boys on our wrapper on the Monday. So if anyone wants to tune in on the Monday, that'll be post the Easter Monday game as well. So make sure you guys tune into our round recap as always. Matt Wilson, thoughts on Hayden Young to D'Ambrosio with cash for next week? I don't want to jump off Hayden Young personally. I know D'Ambrosio is a good option, but what are your thoughts on Hayden Young?
Look, it's a risky play, but if he's looking to go that luxury, I mean, these are also the kind of plays that we end up talking to a Hilux winner about, and we look at, so what was the move that that really set up your season? I got off Hayden Young in round 2, and after round 2, and went down a. So I don't know. Look, I mean, I think it's a play, but the numbers are with the numbers are with Hayden Young. The matchup this week against Jordan Dawson might even suit him. We did see last year at the end of the year, some of his biggest scoring games were when he was playing kind of accountable roles. So, it seems very luxury, but it certainly could be the play.
Yeah, I just feel that he would have had 100 in round one if it wasn't for those Freo injuries. And he got a 75 last week in a game that probably didn't suit him as much. So I think that his next three matchups are tougher. But I think, as you mentioned, I think the matchup on a Dawson and these tougher matchups could actually benefit a guy like Hayden Young with some more tackles. So I think that I'd be looking at holding Young as well. Nectario's 94 said 4 Eddie Ford and Fantasia are the subs today. So thanks for putting that in the chat, mate. Matt Salt, would you go Yo over Windhager then lads? If you already have Massimo, yes, I would be. Yeah, I'll be going Yo over both. I think we were saying that before. Tim, you agreeing with that one?
Yeah, proven scorer. Done it before. There's the injury risk, but he's looking in beast mode at the moment.
Yeah. Victor
Physically,
Burnett.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. He's looking good. Victor Burnett, trade Ollie Wines to a basement rookie to get Sharp on field.
But who are you going to? Nah.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you're doing with the other trade. If you're going, what if he's going a Wines down to Sharp to put him, down to a rookie to put Sharp on field, but then go Sex, not even if it's Sex, if he's already gone Sex to Powell, what if it's going but then again, if you've got Powell,
but
then
once
who
again,
are you going?
who are you going to, right? Because we're very early in the season. You want to be filling up your benches with players that are
Making
best
cash.
22 and then players that are making cash. If I look at my bench, I've still got Charlie Lazaro there, who has kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's still playing this week. And, we thought he might come out of that side or something like that. So, I don't know that he's going to be sub again. So he might still get his cash going. Jai Clark, once again, still manages to hang around that team.
And Danger threw it out as well.
Yeah, and who are the 200Ks that you bring in that are actually playing and going to be making money?
I know Jake was saying it earlier in the week. I agree with him that with 200K guys, unless it's to start the season, I've always been happy to wait a week, pay the 30 or 40K premium if they go big, and bring them in. Compared to if you jump on Blake Drew was a big example for a lot of us last year.
Look at Zach Reid. Look at Zach Reid right now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's stuck in our defensive line, and there's, we're really going to be stuck in terms of when to trade him and who's coming in. And, we might be lucky next week that we get a couple of defensive options that we can move to. But, it's going to be a very sideways rookie trade. It doesn't give you cash on the other side to do an upgrade when people are coming off the buy. So, Zach Reid is going to be a hole for a lot of teams in that kind of D8 position, and it's a liability.
Yeah, and I know Jeppa says it all the time, and rookie decisions are so important early in the season, because if you start bringing in basement guys and bringing in guys that aren't best 22 are going to be the sub, and all of a sudden you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on the bench that are sort of essentially like red dots where they're subs or they're like you've got no cash gen, and where are you going to be able to upgrade? Whereas those people jumping on your Dempseys, your Dersmers, your Harvey Thomas potentially next week, he's got a low break in, and guys making cash. You got to pick the right rookies. That would be what I'd be saying there. T Lofty said first trade Sex and the Powell. I think that will be the most common trade this week. Would you go Newcomb to Crouch or Massimo as the second? Going Massimo gets Yo to the midfield. So I think you talked about this either last week or the week before, saying about maybe trading a defender, trading a midfielder, putting Yo in the midfield and having that flexibility. Are you happy enough to go Newcomb down to Massimo and putting Yo in the midfield?
Nah, I think those midfield spots are too valuable. We've got, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I think because you're getting Massimo, I like it, because you got the cash for next week. You can always trade out a defender next week and put Yo back into defence and bring in a midfield. If maybe they're waiting for a Tom Green, maybe they're waiting for a Flanders.
Maybe. I'm thinking about it. My
Yeah,
brain's, you know, that it's that meme,
It's
right?
that,
Where
yeah,
was
that
it Russell Crowe?
Zach Galifianakis one from
Oh,
Hangover with the
yours is
numbers and the
oh, is
numbers
it
and
the Zach?
going
You
to,
said Zach
yeah,
Galifianakis, and I said
yeah.
Russell Crowe from Beautiful Mind. So maybe we're thinking two different things, but maybe your similarity is much more closer to the truth.
Come listen to Bails and Tim on Good Friday as we go through gifts that we might be talking about different ones, but you don't know.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I don't like going down from someone that's like was meant to be one of your premium midfielders to Massimo, who he is making cash, but he is I don't know if he's a long term play. You know, it might fall away, right? So, but then again, if you are bringing a rookie on field in the midfield, you know that's what we've talked about all pod about how that's probably the move. So,
yeah, because
I'm on the fence about it.
I was torn with the Massimo one because I was early in the week. I was looking at going a Dersma or a Dempsey instead, like just going like a Jai Clark up to one of them, getting a better rookie, and that's it. But the reason I like Massimo is that in 3 weeks' time we get DPPs, and you can swap. You can put your McCurches, your Roberts, if you still got Bonner, we can put all those guys in defence, and Massimo can actually go to a premium midfielder. So maybe not premium, but could be a little bit below, maybe discounted, like a Lockie Neal or something. But I like the Massimo play just because that's why I've switched that, and that's why I don't mind even putting a Yo in defence because you've got that flexibility to bring in the option when you get on Massimo. But yeah, definitely one to consider there, T Lofty. So Sultan's going Sexton to power, so that's a tick. But Grundy to Sherry, what are your thoughts on still doing that move? This is probably the final week you can do it before. Grundy's got Richmond and the West Coast the next two, but he's got a bye. So
he's still happy to
jump off?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very nervous about Grundy. Hey, I'm still on the whole narrative that that first game wasn't as good as we all made it out to be. It was really only one good half of football. Now, maybe he bounces back, but I'm nervous.
Yeah. Andrew said, Sherry as VC today. What are your thoughts? I don't mind it.
Yeah. Who's
the differential? Got De Koning.
Yeah, that's right.
I could see him. Yeah, he didn't actually play.
Do you think he's going to pop a ceiling score though? Do you think he's got a ceiling in him?
I think he could. Yeah, I don't think he actually played that well last week, but he's still got a 104. I think Jackson beat him pretty convincingly, but Sherry's still got a 104. If Sherry goes and beats De Koning today, he could have. Well, we've seen he loves a tackle, and he gets around the ground. He's looking like he's getting involved. Like even just not as a fantasy point of view, he's looking like a sort of a really good sort of addition as the number one ruck to North. He's almost playing like he's not as mobile as an English, but his ground work has impressed me a lot. So. Yeah, I don't mind it. He could pop a score. And if you want to go different to Sheasel, then, yeah, definitely something you could look at. AFL Huey, trade Newcomb or Salem? Is it still Newcomb over Salem? Is the break-evens there? Or
I think this depends on what you're going to be able to do next week. And that's how I made my call this week. They were both players that I wanted to trade out. But it was more about, okay, how am I setting myself up for next week? And, really it just came down to break-even choice pretty much.
Yeah,
because I can still move because I've got that extra defender in defence. I'm still going to be able to move Salem easily next week. So, so that's So then it was for me. It just came down to the break-even game. But I think the one that should be concerning you more is Salem than Newcomb. I mean, it's a role change, right?
Yeah, and Newcomb's got that midfield role, whereas Salem, we really don't know. Like he could have the midfield role this week, he might not, and we want security in these guys. And Salem, and if you want to hide behind the fact as well, Salem's got a bye coming up as well, so it is tough. But then Newcomb's got the high break even, so it's a tough one. Dimmy, I want to trade Josh Kelly out with the Bont knee concern. Do I fade him? Saronga tag. Maybe Dawson's the other option. Well, a few things there. So, Dimmy, so it's not a knee for Bont, it's an ankle, but apparently Drew Jones said I think Roy might have asked him about Bont, and apparently Bont looked fine and was looking like the usual Bont on the training track. So I wouldn't be worried too much about the Bont concern there. I don't see Sarong getting a tag. Maybe do they play a keys on him, but to the Crows after all the talk this week, do they really want to put another slower midfielder in there to tag someone? And Dawson is a good option as well, but I don't think I'd be worried with any of them. So Bont, Sarong, or Dawson, Tim? Who are you going at those three?
It's
got to be Bont, though, isn't it? With the He's dropped a bit in cash. He's got the match up this week.
Oh, look, once again, I haven't put any thought into these three players because they're just not even in my considerations. But, I mean, what's price and break-evens? And, I'm not sure. My guess is that Sarong is better value, but I'm not sure.
Sarong's 1.05 million, break-even at 95. Obviously, if he was to drop a low 100, that break-even will shoot back up because of how high he's priced at. Bont is priced at 1.01, so 40k less. The break-in at 142, but he does have a very nice run coming up, starting with the Eagles this week. And then Dawson's got Freo this week, who we've heard maybe Young goes head-to-head with, and he's got a break-even of 120, priced just over $1 million. It's
so wrong for me. Look, Bont had a bit of a slow start last year, and I think he's kind of having a similar kind of slow start to this year. Dawson, once again, there's a lot of uncertainty about what might happen in that Adelaide's midfield. I think Sarong is I'm not sure what he's quite capable of this year. So I like that pick.
Yeah, I think I'm Bont just, but yeah, I like all three picks, and Sarong is, as we said before, looks he's like a level above at the moment. Matt F. Zach Williams to D'Ambrosio. I wouldn't be trading Zach Williams. I'd be holding him. Are you agreeing, Tim?
Yeah, but I don't mind the thought. I'm kind of thinking about maybe trading out Zach Williams next week. So I agree with what you're saying, Bars, but I like the way he's thinking.
Yeah. Since you've been gone, has said Caulfield at D8 to Hasty or Pink and Sexton to Power. So I like Sexton to Power. I think, as we said before, I'm still not sold on doing the Caulfield down if he's on your bench. If you've got absolutely nothing else, so you could do Pink. But I think
it'd be interesting to hear what Jeppa thinks about this, right? But I think for me, we kind of know what Pink's going to give, which is not much.
I think we're all just waiting for an Ari Schoenmaker to make his debut because he's probably, and you wait a week, and I think he's the guy that we jump on. But
yeah, and is it possible that what's his name? Is it Phillips might get named on Monday?
Yeah, there's a chance.
There's been a bit of talk of that.
Yeah, Geelong taller forward line. I'm just having a look if there's any other, because there's not really many other defender rookies it's literally Pink, Draper, Hasty, and I wouldn't be sold really on any because Pink's just going to give you what he's going to give you, really. You got Caleb Mitchell for Sydney that's been named to debut this week. He's not the sub. Right, can have a watch of him, see how he goes. Phillips, Shawmay comes in. So yeah, I'm not exactly too sure, but I don't think I'll be doing that trade there. Matt Wilson, Young. I know we said Young to us. We answered earlier before. So there you go. Jeppa said, I think this is last week for inform mid prices. So, no, that was just for another question. That's all right. That's all good. What do we got here? Anthony said, hey, lad, Sexton and Lazaro or Jai Clark to Powell and a 200k rookie, or Sexton, Lazaro to Dempsey and Durs with 200k in the bank. I think we were talking about before. I don't know if we'd be jumping on any 200k rookies. I think Sexton to Powell's a good trade, but maybe try and find a little bit of cash to go up. But we have got the rookie man that's jumped on. Jeppa, mate, how are you? How's Easter going for you?
Yeah, pretty quiet so far. Good Friday over here, not much open.
Yep. No, mate. Well, get you on. What are you thinking with these rookies with this whole the rookie switch down to a defender rookie? Are you a fan of it, or are you wanting to wait?
No, I'd wait. Definitely wait. I think Hasty's going to play wing, reading between the lines, but I'm not sure because I haven't watched that VFL game. So yeah, it's wait, especially in St Kilda's side. You've got things as well, and yeah, it's a little bit too risky. Imagine wasting a trade, trading someone in, and then he's one and done. It's just it hurts too much.
What are your thoughts on the other rookies in the other positions, like your Dursmans, your Dempseys, even a Sean Manor, obviously Harvey Thomas next week as well. What do you?
Round one because of that wet weather game. Dempsey, yeah, sure, but again, being a half forward, small forward, you go as an. I suppose I'm being biased because my team's trades aren't involving a rook, so I haven't really looked at it too much in depth. But yeah, if you were going to go to one, Burgess is the one for me.
Yeah, he looked very good on the weekend just gone. But Jet, what are you looking at doing your moves this week? If you want to share with the listeners?
Mate, no, all good. Newcomb to Powell is locked away first and foremost. So, and then just waiting on to see what Lazaro scores and making the decision on that second trade after that. So, probably going to be Wines to steal. But if Lazaro does pretty well, I will use Sexton as a loop and then probably bring in Winhager. So,
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, that's a decision to make. We'll see how we go.
And what do you think about the structure, Jeff, in terms of how many rookies we should be running on field? You mean
next week for setting for next week, I suppose?
Yeah. Whether it's this week or next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think no one's losing sleep having Roberts, McKercher, Sharp, and Sanders on field. And they're the four for me. Next week, they will be my only four rooks on field with a bit of luck, depending on what Roberts scores, because he plays West Coast next week, so he's pretty untouchable. But next week, I'm looking to bring in one of the primos on the bye that's had the bye. So we'll see where Neil's ankle's at, because Dunkley comes into calculations. I know he ran out the game, but that looked pretty sore. There's Newman for Carlton, and then Took Miller, Toby Green, etc. So, not Toby Green, Tom Green, sorry. So, we'll see what happens. We've got Conway looking like he'll play Monday too. He had a really...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had a really strong... Yes, apparently there's something wrong with Stanley. So, he had a pretty strong game in the VFL. And, yes, he's more expensive. But this whole R3 conundrum could be a move there, because I do have Grundy, Cherry, and Gawn in my rucks. So it's fun trying to flip a coin of which two to play for every week. But holding out to the buy. So Conway could be my utility pretty early if he sticks around. I think it's time for him to turn the corner. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but they should have started Conway. That not Stanley, moved on a bit from that. So, Jet, what are you going to do with your captain and vice captain? So, Tim was obviously mentioning, and obviously you mentioned on the pod as well, that Nick Martin's a bit of a sneaky one. You've looked at it at St Kilda.
I really wanted to do it, and it did work in sequence, but just under the roof that Eddie had, Sheasel did a little bit more. I actually watched the other game last night, the North Freo game from last week, just to sort of solidify Power as a decision. And when you sort of watch someone for the second time focusing on a player or two, Sheasel looked great, Power looked great. Going with Sheasel. Hey, I'm not even captain Nick Martin. Why the fuck not? I don't have an abundance of primos in my midfield. I'm actually really, really thin in my mid primos at the moment. James Jordan is my M4.
Oh, so wow.
Yeah, so it's real thin, right? But defense, I've got all the mid prices, defense and forwards locked away, and the plan is to just keep going up to mid primos that are fallen. Bont keeps falling. Jordan Dawson might be first. Tom Green, all of them. I'm not mucking around. Straight to the guns, and get there any which way. Probably jump off a high ownership sort of player like Zach Fisher next week if he goes mediocre again, something like that. I don't know. Jordan plays West Coast, so that probably won't happen. But just looking at those top kind of moves, pre-planning to a point. But look, although I'm thin in the high with the primo mids, and that's kind of why I want to do Wines to steal, just to balance that up a bit. I still don't mind it for the long run, right? So there are a lot of primo mids falling in price, and they'll continue to fall in price. So it's just jumping on the value when needed.
I'm also eyeing up a Rowan Marshall as well. He's fallen a bit and might not have a great, a great week this week either. So, because I got a Grundy sitting there as well, which is making me nervous.
Yeah, fair enough. So you don't have Cherry?
Yeah, no, I do. I don't have Gorn.
Ah, right. Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat, and value everywhere, and ruck is that line. So yeah, mate, it's fun times for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, beautiful. Well,
all right. Well, we got a game of footy to play soon, haven't we?
I was just to say, just before we wrap up, Tim, just want to let people know the exact sort of trades you're looking at doing this week.
Yeah. So Newcombe to Crouch and Sexton to Power.
Yeah, I'm currently going Sexton to Powell as well. That'll be most common trade this week. And then I'll be also doing Salem down to Massimo D'Ambrosio, pocketing just over 400k to hopefully bring in a Flanders next week for someone. So that's the plan at the moment. But yeah, beautiful. Now, appreciate Jet you jumping on just at the end, mate, for a bit of a chat as well. Where can the people find you across the socials and the Plus Six Pod?
Yeah, just on X at Jefford's ET, mate, and then the Plus Six podcast that comes out usually every Wednesday morning, Tuesday night.
Yeah, no, to go and follow Jeff and Plus Six Pod, and hopefully if all things go to plan, mate, be looking forward to chatting to you on Monday after that game for a bit of a round review.
I think we should do a bit of a shout out to the Ball Boys as well, who kind of gave us a massive shout out at the end of their live show and got everyone to come across and have a listen to us. So thanks a lot to the boys for doing that as well.
Yeah. If you guys don't already, I'm sure most of you do, but if you don't, make sure you guys do head over to Ball Boys AFL Fantasy to listen to their show, because obviously they go live before us. You got a 15-minute break to get maybe just a few things in order, then come back and listen to us, and that's your sort of your Friday fantasy fix sorted. So yeah, shout out to the Ball Boys, and happy birthday to Tim's best friend Mitch and Casey. Beautiful. As always, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. If you do want to sort of continue the fantasy chat with myself, make sure you head over to the watch along that'll be getting started very, very shortly for the game that's coming up. I'll be able to answer still plenty of questions, still plenty of time to get trades sorted. So make sure you tune into that and watch the game along with me. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday. I'm not sure the exact time. Obviously, we'll tweet that out closer. Probably on the Monday. Probably somewhere around that sort of maybe 6:30 Eastern, but we'll tweet that out later on anyway. So make sure you tune in to that with us. But have a very happy Easter, guys. Hopefully you eat lots of chocolates, and hope you have a good fantasy weekend. And enjoy time with the family. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you